Hi, I'm Michelle Bentley. I'll present the data overview for Buchanan Elementary School today to our stakeholders. The purpose of this presentation is to understand our school's trends and demographics, as well as our students' performance on end-of-grade assessments in English Language Arts, or ELA, and math over the past 4 years. We'll understand our school's strengths and weaknesses so that we can start faculty conversations about how to use data and improve teaching and learning in ELA and math. Here you can see our student enrollment over the past 5 years. It's increased from 385 students to 413. Our transient rate has been consistent over 3 years at about 17 or 18%. Individual grade level enrollment fluctuates up and down each year by about 10 students. The school's population is predominantly white, between 89 and 91%. We have our largest minority groups as multiracial, which are 4 to 5% each year, and Hispanic, between 2 to 4% each year. We have a low enrollment of African American students. It varies between 1 and 3%. And we've had only 1 year over the past 5 in which Asian students were enrolled, and that was 2015 to 16. This slide shows student absences by percentage. Our school has regularly had an issue with a high rate of student absences. Our school improvement plan addresses this. However, the percentage of students who have been absent 6 or more days has still increased from 43 to 49% over the past 3 years. A large part of our student population is students from families of low socioeconomic status. 88% of students fell into this category in 2014-15. Then there was a drop the next year to 55%, which stayed the same the following year. This was because our school received a federal grant to provide free lunch to all students. So those families who may have been eligible did not complete paperwork for their children to receive free and reduced lunches. So there was an absence of that data to report to the state. The number of special education students in our school has increased by 5 to 10 students each year over the past 3. They made up 15 to 17% of our enrollment during this time frame. We have an extremely low enrollment of English language learners, less than 1% each year. So I'm not going to include their performance on state assessments in this presentation. We had 1 ESOL student in 2014-15 and 2 the following 2 years. We've had 42 or 43 teachers on staff each year, and most of our staff is female. We've had an increase in male teachers hired from 5 up to 7 teachers during this time frame. The next 2 slides include only teachers, not support staff and administrators. The number of teachers with a bachelor's degree each year is higher than the amount for each of the other degrees. It's 13 the first 2 years and 15 the 3rd year. Those with master's degree were 10, 11, and 13, respectively. We've had 1 teacher on staff with a doctorate degree each year. Several teachers have retired in the 3-year time period, so the number of teachers with specialist degrees has fallen from 15 to 9. Most teachers have had 11 to 20 years of experience. Those with less than a year of experience has gone up, while the number with more than 30 years experience has gone down. Let's look at end-of-grade data on state assessments. First, we're going to look at math trends. The first slide I show you is a math comparison with state scores and with West Harrelson Elementary School. It's the only other elementary school in our county, and it also educates 3rd through 5th graders. This slide shows 4 years of data. The top left graph is the oldest, and it's from the 2013-14 Math CRCT results. That test shows 3 competency levels: exceeds, meets, and does not meet expectations. The Milestones data is shown in the other graphs, and its reporting is different. It shows performance levels, and there's 4: distinguished, or the highest performance, followed by proficient, developing, and beginning. So take a moment to make observations about the data and pause the presentation if you'd like. These graphs show that we've had fewer students performing at the does not meet level on the CRCT than we do in the beginning level of each of the 3 milestones tests. We performed better on the state on the CRCT, but not on the milestones. West Harrelson Elementary had more students in the distinguished level over the past 2 years than we did, but last year we had fewer in the beginning level. Our school consistently has the same or fewer students performing in the beginning level than Georgia does. We perform about the same in the proficient level, but not as well in distinguished. End of grade math results for milestones over the past 3 years is shown here, so you can see the trend. Student scores in the developing and proficient performance levels have increased. Beginning level score, which is the red line, has decreased as we wanted it to, but the amount of students in the distinguished level, which is the gray line, hasn't increased as we had hoped. They've decreased from 5% to 3%. Again, take a moment to make some data observations. This slide shows our grade levels milestones performance trends. We should celebrate 5th grade's accomplishments. The performance levels are making a good turnaround. Sometimes when we see the lines begin to cross in these performance line graphs, that indicates that we're making improvements. So we see that red line going down and the blue ones going up. Those are the ones in the mid-range. And the percentage of students performing in the distinguished level, the gray line, is also making slight gains. The percentage in developing and proficient levels have increased each year, and that beginning level is going down. 3rd and 4th grades should also be proud of their strides. Over the 3-year period, their performance in the developing and proficient levels have increased, and you can see that red line going down once again. Let's look at our results by subgroup. The only math data for African American students was for 2016-17 because we have such a low enrollment of that subgroup. I found that our economically disadvantaged students are performing in all 4 levels, and I did not include that here because I wanted to point to our ethnic and racial groups because it appears we're not meeting the needs of our Hispanic and African American populations. That only means 20 students, but we should consider, are we using culturally sensitive pedagogy? Now we'll move to end of grade ELA data on state assessments and look at trends. Here again we see milestones and CRCT. CRCT is in the top left. Once again we have fewer in the does not meet stage than we do in the beginning level performance on the milestones. Our CRCT scores were not as positive in ELA as they were in math. West Harrelson generally has more students in the 2 higher performance levels than we do on the milestones tests. We're performing below the state levels. It's good to see that we have fewer students in the beginning level over 3 years. Again, you see that red line going down. We've made steady gains in the developing level. The distinguished has stayed about the same. Proficient level has fallen in percentage points. Going forward, it would be nice to see more students moving up in those levels. Developing level scores have consistently gone up across all grade levels, and beginning level scores have gone down. 4th grade scores have gone up in the distinguished level. Proficient level scores have fallen in 4th and 5th grades, and we've got a slight increase in that level in 3rd grade. Now let's look at subgroups for ELA. Again, it appears that we're not meeting the needs of Hispanic and African American students, but now also our multiracial students. This makes up about only 36 total students, but let's consider, are we meeting their needs? So now our school strengths are ELA milestone scores that were in the beginning stage have decreased to 10 10 percentage points over the 3-year period. Their scores have increased 13 percentage points in the developing stage over the 3-year period. So those two stages are at the bottom. The math milestone scores in the beginning stage have decreased 10 percentage points over the 3-year period. Math milestone scores have increased 6 percentage points in both developing and the proficient stage over the same period. So overall, our school consistently has fewer students performing at the beginning stage of math than the state does. It currently has fewer students at that stage than West Harrelson Elementary does by 5 percentage points. Our school's weaknesses. The percentage of students performing at the distinguished stage on ELA milestones has shown no increase over the 3-year period. Remember, that's the highest stage, the highest level. ELA milestone scores in the proficient level, the next highest level, fell 4 percentage points between the first and second year, and it was only had a 1% gain between the next 2 years. Overall, the school consistently performs below the state level in ELA. Those in the beginning and developing levels are particularly higher. Math milestone scores in the beginning stage have decreased 10 percentage points over the 3-year period, and scores in the distinguished stage fell 2 percentage points. Look at grade level strengths now. 3rd grade students have made constant gains in ELA in the developing stage, increased 15 percentage points over the 3 years. Beginning level scores have constantly decreased. 4th grade students have made steady gains in ELA in the developing stage over 6 points, and in the distinguished stage over all 3 points. Scores at the beginning stage have decreased 3 percentage points. 5th grade students have made constant gains in the ELA developing stage, and their scores at the beginning stage have fallen overall. Grade level weaknesses. 3rd grade had no students performing at the distinguished level in ELA in 2017, and they fell 3 percentage points over the focus time period. Those at that level in math decreased 2 points as well. 4th grade students performing at proficient stage fell 6 percentage points over the time frame. Those at developing stage increased that much. Math scores in proficient and distinguished stages fell 3 and 4 percentage points respectively. 5th grade students performing at proficient stage fell 10 percentage points. Those in the distinguished stage decreased. There was a 2-point drop in the distinguished level math scores between year 2 and year 3. Our next steps for teaching and learning. English language arts must be a priority. Literacy strategies should be taught across content areas, so that should also improve our math performance. We should continue to move more students from the beginning level proficiency to the developing level, and then from the developing to the proficient level in both English language arts and math. We should focus on higher achieving and gifted students to start an upward trend in those performing at the distinguished level in both subjects. We need to be sure to provide extension and differentiated instruction as well as remediation. Attendance should continue to be a focus in our improvement plan. The data team could research to find some strategies that have worked for similar schools to improve their attendance rate. Grade levels should investigate their data by strand and work together to make an action plan. Thank you for your time, and I hope that we can get a good conversation started about what we've seen here today and our next steps.